What a lovely way to start March off. Welcome to Time About the Movies. On the first day of March, as I'm recording this March 1st, 2026, we are taking a look today at the three films that make up March 6, 2015. And like I said, what a way to begin with one of my worst movies of all time, number 8 on my list, Chappie, aka the movie where Neil Blomkamp destroys everything that made him successful with District 9 Elysium. And I'm not even joking. This movie is a goddamn mess, man. I mean, I've gone into greater detail in the video I did. Want to check that out? There's the link in the corner. But I'll be brief on this one here. But in this movie, in the near future, crime is patrolled by an oppressive, mechanized police force, but now the people are fighting back. With one police droid, Chappie, is stolen and given new programming. He becomes the first robot with the ability to think and feel for himself. As powerful, destructive forces start to see Chappie as a danger to mankind and order, they will stop at nothing to maintain the status quo and ensure that Chappie is the last of his kind. Yeah. I touched on this in greater length in the past in the video I did before, and I'll just be brief on this one here. Yeah, fuck this movie, man. Fuck Chappie, fuck his movie, fuck him, fuck these characters, fuck the story, fuck everything about this movie. This film is unbelievably bad. For one thing, every character is your typical stock character in a movie like this. You've got the stereotype smart guy played by Dev Patel, who's going to be in a much better movie in just a little bit here. You have the naive hero who starts off not very smart, but becomes a badass at the end of it. You have the cartoon villains, the henchmen, the obvious people who are going to be killed off, the asshole boss played by Sigourney Weaver. We have seen this done before, not just in every action movie. We've seen this done before in every Neil Blomkamp movie. I mean, seriously. District 9 and Elysium are the same setup, except this time, we don't have aliens this time around or people with mech suits. No, it's a robot, and it's an obnoxious, annoying robot. Look, I love Sharlto Copley, but yeah, this character, and pretty much every character in here, is annoying as hell, man. The gang that Chappie calls his family are extremely annoying. The girl is annoying. The two guys who are dumbasses who decided at one point to take him out in the real world, they're stupid too. Chappie himself is a dim-witted moron that is so unlikable in his actions. Wall-E and Johnny Five from Short Circuit could easily beat the shit out of him, and nobody would make a big deal out of it. And again, it's another one of those sci-fi movies that just takes and takes and takes from every other sci-fi film out there and just realizes that we have nothing unique or different about it here. So, yeah, this thing is just a mess across the board here. I mean, this thing is just so terrible, man. I'll give him this. For a $50 million movie, it still looks impressive. It is a visually stylistic film. But what do we always say here on this channel? Visuals do not make the fucking movie. Hugh Jackman is the most annoying I've ever seen him in a movie like this. But, he is such a pain in the ass to watch in this film. I mean, he is just so obnoxious and just is so stupid. Like, he thinks he can just get away with whatever he wants to do. And it's another one of those movies that has one of those stupid endings where, Dev Patel's character gets shot. Chappie tries to save him by putting a test robot body on him and giving him new life. Because Chappie apparently found a way to create a way to save people subconscious through their helmet at the robot lab. And they never explain how he's smart enough to figure this out. This movie doesn't want to figure it out. It wants to come in, get as much money as you can, and yeah, it didn't do that at all. This thing was a massive flop, and like I said, it killed Neil Blomkamp's career. He was never going to get that excitement that you saw from District 9 and Elysium again after this movie, and he has not made a good movie since then. The closest one is probably Gran Turismo, but even then, that's not a great film overall. That movie is pretty fucking awful overall, so yeah, this is rough. This was a bad movie. Like I said, if you want a fuller description of how much I hate this movie, link in the corner, link down below. Chappie is a pretty bad movie. So let's go ahead and talk about Dev Patel in a much better movie. Let's take a look at him in the second Best Exotic Marigold Hotel.
So handsome, he has me questioning my own sexuality.
Are you pimping out your own mother?
Not at all, no. Although, yes.
The second Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. Rated PG, March 6th.
I mean, if we're being honest, Dev Patel really was not the major problem with Chappie. He was just given a bad script overall. But then again, he usually isn't the problem with a lot of these movies. The Last Airbender is a terrible movie. Another one of my worst films ever, but it's not because of him. He's just been given really bad material to work with here. Even he can take something that's not as bad, like this, and just say, hey, I'm going to have fun with this. And he is one of the best things about this movie. So this is, of course, a sequel to The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, which is the expansionist dream of Patel's Sonny Kapoor, and it's making more claims on his time that he has available. Considering his imminent marriage to the love of his life, Sunaina, played by Tina Desai, Sonny has an eye on a promising property now that his first venture, The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel for the Elderly and Beautiful, has only a single remaining vacancy, posing a rooming predicament for fresh arrivals Guy Chambers, played by Richard Gere, and Lavinia Beach, played by Tamsin Greig. Evelyn Greenslade, Dame Judi Dench, and Douglas Ainsley, played by Bill Nighy, have now joined the Jaipur workforce and are wondering where the regular dates for Chilla Pancakes will lead. While Norman Cousins, Ronald Pickup, and Carol Parr, Diane Hardcastle, are negotiating the tricky waters of an exclusive relationship as Madge Hardcastle, Celia Imrie, juggles two eligible and very wealthy suitors. Perhaps the only one who may know the answers is newly installed co-manager of the hotel, Muriel Donnelly, played by Dame Maggie Smith, the keeper of everyone's secrets, as the demand of a traditional Indian wedding threatens to engulf them all. An unexpected way forward presents itself. Yeah, I probably butchered a lot of names in that, but, this movie in particular, I say it's a good movie. Yeah, I'll say it's a good movie overall, but I feel the same way I did about this movie than I did with the first Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. It is what it is. It's a movie that clearly knows exactly who the target audience of this movie is, and for what it is, it's a charming movie. It's a film that works because you do get attached to all these actors involved in this. You do get attached to everybody here. You have also David Strathairn in here, Tom Wilkinson, who's going to be in another movie coming up in just a little bit here. Bill Nighy, a lot of really, really good people in here that I didn't mention in the synopsis. It is what it is. It's basically kind of the white equivalent of something like a Why Did I Get Married? Like, if you replace the races on those people with this and set it in India instead of in the... Actually, it's San Diego, I believe, that this is taking place in. No. It's in India. I'm misreading this whole thing altogether, but yeah, like I said, it is what it is. There's nothing really much more I can say about this film that hasn't already been said. It is what it is. It's nothing too spectacular, nothing too amazing, but it's fine for what it is. It's about on the same level as the first Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, so take that for what you will. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie here, which is surprisingly the best movie of the entire weekend, and yet it was the one that got thrashed the most. Let's talk about the comedy Unfinished Business.
You're telling me we're bankrupt if we don't close this deal?
Well, you're the little guy taking on the big guy.
You're going to go up against me and Dynamic Systems.
We're going to be hard to beat. The first rule is show the client a good time.
Let's party, eh?
All we do is party, and get high right now.
Snoop Lion, probably time to pass that.
Just do it, throw it. What happened?
So yeah, this is a movie where it really kind of just came and went. It bombed hard at the box office. It only brought in $5 million on its opening weekend, cost $35 million to make, so that means it's terrible, right? Vince Vaughn has been in a lot of bad comedies before this, like The Watch and also The Internship, but surely this is another one of those bad films, right? Well, actually, it's not. I'm not even going to say it's a great movie overall, but the thrashing that it got, I really don't think it's that bad. But Vince Vaughn stars as a hard-working St. Louis small business owner with his two associates, played by Tom Wilkinson and Dave Franco. They travel to Europe to close the most important deal of their lives, but what begins as a routine business trip goes off the rails in every imaginable and unimaginable way, including unplanned stops at a massive sex fetish event and a global economic summit. And like I said, I enjoy this movie. I wouldn't say it's one of the great comedies ever or anything too big, but once again, it's a movie where a lot of the people really came out and hated it, but it's a movie that I really don't think was as bad as everyone made it out to be. And like I said, Vin Diesel got a bad rap for starring in The Watch, or middle-aged people don't know how to use the internet, the movie, aka The Internship, but the guy is a good actor. You see it with the movies that he's done. Dodgeball, Wedding Crashers. I like Delivery Man. This is the same director of that movie, directed this film too, Ken Scott. I thought he worked very well with Tom Wilkinson and Dave Franco. They do have a lot of good chemistry together. Nick Frost has a very funny role in here. I thought James Marsden was pretty good in here. The comedy overall is good. The raunchy stuff is okay, I guess. Nothing too spectacular, but nothing too amazing. And I do like the humorous dialogue that does get a lot of really good laughs. The one thing that I kind of felt like really didn't work was somebody I really do like, and that's Sienna Miller. And she really feels kind of pointless in the movie. Her only real reason that the character is there is to basically be simply the competition, the person that's going to go up against Vince Vaughn, and yet she hardly ever shows up in this except for a few scenes. Like the stuff you see in the trailer, that's more than enough times than she is in the actual movie. Plus, I don't understand, why would you name a woman Chuck? I mean, it really felt like maybe this was probably written for a guy, but, they couldn't get anybody, so they said, oh, let's go get Sienna Miller. Shouldn't we change the name of the character, though? No, we'll just say it's Chuck Portnoy, and just, we're not even going to bother explaining why that is. Like, they didn't even try to hide the fact that they had no idea that was supposed to be a male role altogether, but there's also a subplot about how Vince Vaughn's kids are having a tough time in school, and a lot of those scenes are genuinely good and shows that, Vince Vaughn can be a good actor. But with all that said, they really don't do a whole lot with it. There's a subplot about how, Vaughn's daughter wants him to fill out a paper describing who he is, and the other subplot is about his son getting bullied for his weight. It's just like, you could tell they were trying to have more with that storyline, but they just seemed like they didn't have a good idea of how to fully resolve it, because it never gets fully resolved at the end of it. It's one of those things where it's just like, you never feel a sense that every possible outcome was brought out in that situation, and like I said, it really does feel like they didn't have a full script altogether to explain why this is in here and why we should care about this. Like, even the end of the film, when Vaughn finally gets that handshake sealing the future of the company, feels a little anticlimactic for its own good. To the film's credit, though, I do think the best elements are the fact that they don't rely on cliches. Like, there's that moment, of course, where you think the team's going to break up or resolve their differences. Vince Vaughn's cheating on his wife. The investors become pompous dickheads. Well, none of that really happens in this movie. And I like the fact that they didn't go down that route. And I think it helps because the writer of this is Stephen Conrad, who wrote one of my favorite underrated movies, The Weatherman, which came out 10 years prior to this. And I think that because he kept the script from going in that direction overall, it does help the film overall. I think it works very well to a T. It's not a movie I would deem as a great comedy, but Unfinished Business does have a lot of flaws. But the stuff that does work really does work overall. I think the cast is good, the jokes are funny, the direction is decent, the writing is good. It is a good movie. It's not a great movie, but it's certainly nowhere near as bad as people made it out to be. And I found it more enjoyable than most people did. And I think they'll find it more enjoyable when you see it on TV a couple years later. And I feel like if you watch it on FXX one day, or FX, you go, or Comedy Central, whatever it plays on TV, or whatever network, what's another network that airs movies on comedies like this? IFC maybe, I don't know, TBS possibly, just listing out random cable channels here, but if you ever find it out there, I'd say definitely give it a watch, and go into it with an open mindset. I mean, it is a lot better than I think a lot of people gave it credit for when it came out. It's a movie that's definitely worth it if you go into it with the right mindset, I should say. So, that's all I gotta say about Unfinished Business, and we just finished our business today. Coming together full circle, baby. That's going to wrap up this episode of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll take a look at 3 more big movies in the spring, including what I think is probably the best overall Disney live-action remake, and that is Kenneth Branagh's version of Cinderella, with Cate Blanchett as the wicked stepmother, Lily James starring as the title character. You also have Helen Bonham Carter. Also, Dominic is, I was about to say Dominic Cooper, but that's not who that is, I think. Not even close. Richard Madden, the guy, Robb Stark from Game of Thrones. I mean, I knew that who that actor was, but I just couldn't remember the name. For some reason, I thought of Dominic Cooper, but he looks nothing like Dominic Cooper. But anyway, we'll take a look at Cinderella. We'll also take a look at Liam Neeson's latest film, Run All Night. Now we'll also take a look at the big horror hit of the year, the big horror cult hit of the year, It Follows. And yeah. That seems to be about it for the next episode. So we'll take a look at those 3 films. That, of course, will be coming up tomorrow on the show. So stay tuned for that. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.